That's not great. Hey, it's your buddy Moo Juice Magic here, and what you're watching is the hitting, the landing of Russia's intercontinental ballistic missiles. These missiles are usually known to carry nuclear warheads. That's what they're designed for. They have been denuclearized for this particular case. This is Dnipro, or Dnipro in Ukraine, being bombarded for the first time in history with Icbms. It's the first time these have been used in war. These missiles are capable of hitting anywhere in Europe, any capital in Europe, and Putin is definitely swinging his big Russian wing around to show his force. What started all this, you might ask? Well, while CNN is bitching about trying to keep men out of the women's restrooms, they're not reporting what's going on in the world. And this is problematic because we are literally into World War III. We're like partially there. It hasn't exactly kicked off yet, but it's there. I mean, we have all the cookings for a world war. We're gonna throw a war and everybody's going to be invited, kind of scenario. What happened was Biden, in his presence of mind, if you will, while in the rainforest, decided to tell Zelensky, president of Ukraine, oh, go ahead, use American missiles to attack Moscow. Putin, hearing this, and keep in mind, guys, Biden's still the president. He will be for the rest of the month. That was his last act leaving office, was to try to start World War III. So so you know what side of the history you're on when you vote. Yeah, Putin wasn't a fan of this. So he said, if you launch an American missile at me, I'm going to nuke Kyiv. Make no bones about it, he wants to drop a nuclear missile on Kyiv. And he's showing right now he absolutely can drop a nuclear missile on Kyiv. In fact, he could drop it on any capital in Europe. If he has nuclear missiles that actually work still, that's the real question. I'm sure he does. I'm sure he doesn't have as many as he thinks. He wants the world to think he does, but he does. So where do we go from here? Well, these missiles, thankfully, like I said, were denucleared. So this is a show of force, just to show he can do it, swinging that big old military wang about trying to give a show of force to Europe. He said, if you launch a missile at Russia with American missiles, we're going to nuke you by the holiday. Well, Kyiv went ahead and did that. Zelensky decided, let's go ahead and send a missile that way. So let's see how long it takes before we see a mushroom cloud over Kyiv. And then all that Biden family money, at least their debt's paid off because there's no one to pay it back to, right? I know that's a cynical thought, but it's there. It's a thought that's on my mind that, yes, I do believe Biden would allow a country to be nuked just so he wouldn't have to pay back his family's debt. And yes, his family owes Ukraine because of his son Hunter and Burisma. I know you don't know about that if you watch the mainstream news stuff because they don't report on anything negative about Democrats ever. And they're too busy caught up with the Russian collusion hoax. But this is a very serious problem that we're looking at here. I know this is a loop, by the way. This isn't just an ongoing feed, in case you're wondering. This is an 8-second loop. I'm trying to get the point across that we are on the verge of World War III. This is a very serious thing. We could have a world war in our lifetime that we have to be involved in because those are our missiles and our tax money that went to cause this problem. This started when Russia wanted to annex the Crimea. Technically, no. What it started with was what then Senator Barack Obama and a Republican senator went and told Ukraine, hey, if Russia ever attacks you, America guarantees if you decommission your nukes and demilitarize, we will protect you and we'll fight with our troops for you. It's a promise made by then Senator Barack Obama, and I can't remember the Republican senator's name. I only remember Barack Obama because, as you know, he became president somehow for 8 years, having zero experience and zero capability of doing anything outside of smoking pot and saying how much he hates America. This is what you get when you vote the way you vote. Vote better. Maybe we'll avoid these things. Not to beat the dead horse. You know, by now you're regretting your decisions, I'm sure. Well, you're not, if you're probably still sycophantic if you're on that side of the fence. But this is a reality you have to face. Innocent people are dying. They're going to die. A lot of people are going to die if this continues. If Putin decides to drop a nuclear bomb on Kyiv, that's it for Ukraine. Russia will then annex all of Ukraine, just so you know. So all of that money that America's been dumping and pissing away into Ukraine, and all the arguments of politicians about Ukraine, Ukraine this, Ukraine that. Why did the recent activities, though, right? This is all pretty recent. Well, here's what happened. Kamala Harris went to go meet with Ukraine, and for no reason, without anyone discussing this with the UN or anyone else in the fucking world, Kamala Harris says, we look forward to having Ukraine in the UN. And that's a problem for Russia, because then Russia can't do anything about it, because then they're immediately having to deal with the UN. It's a big no-no for Russia. That means that UN bases are right on Russia's borders. Russia doesn't like that. They like to have a wide berth from their enemies. Take no bones about it, whether Russia's involved in the United Nations or not. They're enmity to it. They're not fans of it. They don't want it. Communism, the communist countries are communist countries. They're their own little sect of the world. They don't want to be involved with anything westernized ever, because they would rather have abject poverty for their people that they can bully around and murder at will and make disappear in the middle of the night, or do populist control like China does, or have slave labor like China does, tons of human rights violations and never answer to it like China and North Korea. They would rather be able to do that than have, a good country that runs properly, like America for the most part, or England for the most part, or Canada, definitely for the most part. Canada's pretty chill. Why can't they just be more like Canada? Canada doesn't attack anybody. They have brief agreements and they settle with hockey fights. Occasionally they go to war and ignore the Geneva Convention completely, because that's war and that's how we should do things. Another page out of Canada's book we should take. The Geneva Convention is more like a checklist. You guys, we need to be worried about this. You need to be worried about this. Don't be fearful, but be worried. Be concerned. Be weary. Be looking at what's going on here. Think about what the Democrats have done to our military. Because if this war kicks off, we're going to have to be involved. We'll be fighting Russia, China, and whoever else. We have enemies to our southern border, not Mexico, but there are people that are coming over this border illegally all the time. They just caught another terrorist that was planning on blowing up another building, like yesterday. Call it Djangoist, call it isolationist, whatever you want to call it. I say just stay the hell out of it altogether. It won't be a problem. Unfortunately, this is our problem. We funded this. And this is Putin just showing that our funding didn't go as far as we'd like. It could. Now, here's the deal. The next step, the logical step, is to arm Ukraine more. But maybe not have Zelensky be running it, because he clearly doesn't have the temperament to negotiate. I'm just kidding. I totally understand, man. No, I can't fault Zelensky for this. I want you to understand that the guy is being attacked. His country is going to be annexed. His job is to defend the country tooth and nail against anybody that would take it over. And in this case, that is absolutely Russia. Russia is in the wrong with Ukraine. They need to back the fuck off Ukraine. The problem is Russia doesn't want to do that, and Ukraine doesn't want to just give up and go quietly into the night and be subjugated again, because the Soviet Union was terrible for Ukraine and all of the Soviet Union. The reason the USSR dissolved is because it was terrible. They went broke during the Cold War because communism doesn't freaking work. And Europeans know this. Eastern Europeans don't want to go through that crap again. They might not be pro-America, but they're definitely not pro-Russia. So many of them lost their native languages just to speak Russian. Insulting. World War III, guys. You're looking at the start of it. At least it wasn't a nuke yet. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Keep it civil. Are you pro? Did you fly that Ukrainian flag? Did you put the Russian flag on your Facebook profile? This isn't this is only an American issue as far as our tax dollars and our military is concerned. By the way. Anyway, friendly reminder: in the '80s, Putin got about this close to then President Ronald Reagan. He was posing to be a tourist while he was in the KGB. In case you forgot, Putin was in the KGB. He was a spy. Not a great dude. And Zelensky is not the greatest either. Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries on the planet. Made the top three. I think it made the top three not too long ago as the most corruption. So don't think Ukraine's just great either. I don't hate it. I don't have anything against Ukraine, but to say they're pristine virgins is not accurate. Nobody's innocent, but nobody's deserving of nuclear war right now. Well, I can think of a couple places, but it's neither here nor there. Anyway, let's hope for peace, I guess. Pray in one hand and say I'm helping on your Facebook profile, right? Vote better. This is what it comes down to. I know now things are going to change. In a month, a lot can happen in a month. A whole lot can happen in a month. They're actually talking about getting rid of Biden right now and Harris, and then just having a new government running right now until Trump's been officially inaugurated. I don't know how that works out. I'm not sure I have any faith in the Speaker of the House right now, so. All right, Mood Juice Magic out. Love you in the face.